Hey folks, welcome back. Today we got another case study for you. I'm actually going to clip in a few videos of an actual lesson I had with one of my students and also some of the force plate data that I got with the Smart to Move force plates. This one is a little bit different because what we had is we had a player that we had been working on their backswing. We had a player, his name is Finley, and his backswing was getting too long. He was getting too much lift with his arms, and as a result we had club face control issues. So over the previous couple of weeks, we had been working on his backswing and was really happy with where we got it to a point. The thing that was great to see with the Smart to Move force plates is we spend a lot of time working on our backswing, working on different positions. That's great, but sometimes we have to be careful of the effects that can have on other parts of our golf swing. So what we had is as we were building that backswing, and we spent a lot of time making sure that our grip was organized, that our takeaway was in a good spot, and that the top of our backswing was in a good position, which was great. But now that we had that in a really good spot, as we switched over to talk about the downswing and different things like that, we noticed that his club head speed was actually starting to drop a little bit. And at first, the thought could be, oh my God, these swings are having, or these changes are having a negative effect on my club head speed. The changes themselves aren't having a negative effect, but just the refocus of when's the proper time to sequence our force and how we apply force and when and different things like that. The very cool thing is we had a 7-mile-an-hour increase during this lesson. So we started with that 8-iron of his that was baseline around 85, 86 miles an hour, and by the end we had it up to 93 miles an hour with the backswing changes that he was making. So we're going to cut into a couple of the videos here, and then we're going to look at the overview of his force plate data. But the thing that I'll highlight, and this is something for coaches and also for students as well, when you're working on different parts of your golf swing, you have to consider sometimes the effect that it could have on other things. A lot of coaches and a lot of players as well, we get caught chasing positions. We want this, we want this, we want that. And if there's an undesirable position, it totally makes sense to correct it. But once we get it to a point, we have to be able to assess and measure what effects, positive or negative, it has on other parts of the golf swing. So we knew that Finley had club face control issues, and that started in his backswing. And as soon as we got that to a point where we felt it was in a really good spot, it was great to be able to measure with the force plates to see exactly what he was doing with that new backswing, and to be able to make some adjustments that was able to get him back to his baseline, but even surpass that and get up to 93, just about 93 miles an hour. So let's cut into that video. We're going to hear a little bit from Finn and myself, and we're going to take a look at some data that we got here with the force plates. Okay. So where we got to at the point, we had a couple backswing things we were working on. We've made really good progress. But then we notice in the downswing, some of the timing of our things were starting to go wrong. We're swinging an 8-iron right now. And on average, we were seeing club head speed around 85, 86 miles an hour, in that range, with not the best club face control. Some shots going left, some shots going right. Go ahead and set up for me. So we take a video on the plates, and what we notice, go ahead and top of the backswing. We're really good top of backswing. But when we were paying attention to when we were using our lower body, because we've talked about this left leg push before, you were pushing on the left leg, but it was way too late. Like our vertical was peaking around there. And what we talked about, when that push with your left leg happens too late, we have a lot of excess movement, like we get a little bit too lateral. The arms and club get behind us. And then oftentimes you have to compensate, which can get us hitting it both ways. All right, so here's one of these standard swings that we had with Finley. So just keep in mind, right-handed player, and we had been working a lot on his backswing, but then what we started to see was some of the timing and the sequencing of his downswing start to fall off a little bit. So what we notice here, we make a backswing, we make an okay move, but the timing of the vertical force, so if we're looking at the chart at the bottom here, we have the blue line that represents his lead leg. We have the red line that represents his trail leg. And then we have the yellow line, which is the combined force he's applying in the vertical axis. So as he starts to make his downswing, we see the vertical start to increase. And then ultimately we'll see the vertical peak right about here. On the right-hand side, that total 160 degrees for an 8-iron. I'm content with the amount of force that he had. The issue here was the timing. And in the downswing, we're looking at a timing that's a little bit too late. And for someone who's as strong and athletic as Finley was, or is, we were not getting a club head speed that kind of corresponded with the output potential that we had. So what we normally like to see in terms of timing, we want to see that vertical force start to peak somewhere in this range here, because that energy still has to work its way through the body and out to the club. But when our vertical force starts to peak down to the golf or closer to the golf ball, that timing is late. And that's why we're seeing an average club head speed with an 8-iron in that 85, 86 mile an hour range. We work on that feel, and I say, I don't need you to push harder, I just need you to push earlier. Timing starts to improve, great. Then we started to mess around, right? The first thing we did was I said, okay, let's just get the timing a little bit better. Right, we got the timing a little bit better. We hit this shot, that was cool. Right, it's 91 miles an hour. The timing is a little bit better. So this was that capture on that swing that was 91 miles an hour. And remember, what we saw before was we saw timing that was too late. The amount of force we had was okay, but the timing was too late. So now we take a look at the yellow graph, and what we're going to see is we definitely start to push a lot earlier. And now what we're starting to see is we have this little first peak. But if we look at the actual peak that we have here, we have a little bit more force, 167%. And we notice that the timing of that force happens much earlier in the downswing. He's able to transfer a lot more energy through his body to the golf club. And this was the swing that produced a club head speed of 91 miles an hour, which was about 5 miles an hour faster than his baseline. We're an athlete, we're a volleyball player. So then I said, let's push earlier and harder. What's the worst that can happen, right? So now we hit the next shot after, and previously we had these shots that was averaging around like 85 miles an hour. And then we hit this one, right? 92.6 miles an hour, which is like a 7-8 mile an hour jump from our baseline. We're still making the perfect backswing. But the only thing that was changing is when we're pushing on the left leg and how hard. All right, so here was the last one. Here was the icing on the cake. So we see as we start to work through here, the thing I really like is once he transitioned to start to pushing, I like how quickly, how straight up that peak in the vertical is. And now we start to notice that peak, right, happens even earlier in the downswing. We see slightly less than we did before in terms of total push, but that happens even earlier in the downswing. And what this is Finley using the power that he already has. We're just moving the timing around and putting it in a more optimal position. And this swing here produced an 8-iron club head speed of 93 miles an hour, an incredible increase of 7 to 8 miles an hour off of his baseline. And with the Smart to Move force plates, we're able to identify where the power leak was. It was the timing of his vertical force. I was able to show him the data and then be able to compare in a swing-by-swing basis. And without this, there's no way we're able to identify it because we cannot see the magnitude and the timing of the force. So this was a fantastic example where I had an athlete where we had been making changes to his backswing. And as we transition into getting that into the downswing now and maximizing power, we're able to quantify it with the force plates and see an incredible jump in club head speed. So if you go ahead and sit up for me. The fault we were falling into is that we were spending a lot of time working on the time or our backswing, which we should, but then we just are late with what we're trying to do in the downswing. So go ahead and make that backswing for me. And as you're finishing your backswing, that is when we're pushing as hard as we can in that left leg. Describe it for me. What are you trying to do from the top?
So once I'm at the top of my backswing, as soon as I get to the top of my backswing, I'm trying to put as much force into the ground with my left leg while pushing backwards behind me.
Yep. Do we have a lot of time to do this?
No.
One thing that's super important, we don't want to think that we just have all kinds of time. It's very aggressive when we do it. And for you, the cue's always been earlier than we think. Mm-hmm. Did a great job cleaning up our backswing. we can actually apply the force that we have at a different time and see a club head speed like that's 7 miles an hour faster. That's game changing in the distance department, right? Okay, hold on. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that look inside this lesson, a little bit of the overview that we saw with the force plate data. But just to summarize, it was fantastic to see Finley has the output to increase his club head speed, but he was starting to lose it because the timing of that force was getting later and later in his golf swing. So we got his backswing to a really good spot. We were really happy with the contact we were starting to make, and we were really happy with the ball flight that we were starting to see. But then we were able to dive in and see, okay, with the energy and the force that we have, are we applying it at the right time? And is there more in the tank? And what we were able to find out very quickly, just in a few minutes, is that there was tons left in the tank. And now we can take that backswing that we've built, those really good positions that we like the look of, and have an understanding of, as we transition from backswing to downswing, when is the right time to apply that force with our left foot. And I expect that baseline club head speed with that 8-iron to continue to remain in the low 90s. Maybe we can push it even a little bit more. So thanks for watching. All of this is possible because I was able to get the data, show it to the player, check it, assess, and retest with the Smart to Move force plates. As always, if you have any questions, please post them down below. Thanks for watching, folks. We'll catch you next time.